You're saying Trump is not extreme?
On policy? I mean, he's on gay rights, he was to the left of when he took office.
I'm just talking about like basic stuff, universal tariffs, mass deportations. Those are pretty extreme positions.
I mean, mass deportations. I mean, Bernie Sanders was incredibly for strict border control and deportations.
That's not the same thing as mass deportation.
No, I mean, Barack Obama's probably deported more people than Donald Trump is.
I know, but
the
I'm
idea
saying
that he's an aberration on policy.
But Trump is not moderate.
But one of the reasons why he won Michigan,
he's not an orthodox
one of the reasons why he won Michigan is he connected well with the voters who were frustrated with an establishment they felt didn't listen to.
Yeah, and that's happening tonight.
This is what's happening. This is what I'm saying. Anti-establishment.
But I think
Andrew here with the Veil of Power. Watch Scott Jennings try one of the oldest tricks in the book and get shut down in real time. On Abby Phillips' panel, Jennings argued that Democrats criticizing AIPAC are, in his words, just using it as a euphemism to say the Jews. He tried to turn political criticism of a lobbying group into raw anti-Semitism, and Abby Phillip stopped him with 4 words. Senator Sanders is Jewish. Jennings stumbled because the whole move just collapsed. Criticizing AIPAC or the Israeli government is not the same as being against Jewish people, and one of the loudest critics is himself Jewish. Let's get into it.
Response to what Senator Sanders had to say.
Well, I mean, right at the end, he ultimately said, yes, I want people like Hassan Piker in my political party. We're a big tent. He wants people in the party that say America deserved 9/11. He wants people in his party that are out there idealizing Chairman Mao and the like. I mean, this is not something I would be embracing if I were trying to build a political party that could appeal to, mainstream Americans. I think they're going to deeply regret these associations and this continued demonization of AIPAC. AIPAC is Jewish Americans who are choosing to participate in politics. And let's be honest, they're just using it as a euphemism to say the Jews. I mean, that's what they're doing, and I think
Senator Sanders is Jewish.
Okay,
so
that doesn't absolve him of demonizing other Americans who simply want to participate in American politics.
So Sochi, I mean, do you think that that's a defensible strategy to say we're a big tent, and if you don't want certain people in it, you can get out, but everybody else can stay in?
Listen, I think that ultimately the voters will decide here. And I think when it comes to AIPAC, I think the reason why that was an effective strategy for El-Sayed, and we'll see tonight if he actually wins, is because there was $30 million that was being spent in this race. And part of it is that his message was that this race shouldn't be bought. I think that at the end of the day, you're going to see that in politics throughout the country. This is an anti-establishment year. It is cool to be an outsider, whether you're a Republican or whether you're a Democrat. Look at what Donald Trump has done in the Republican Party. You have Cornyn, you have Massey, you have others who were defeated because Donald Trump primaried those people. And so you're seeing the same thing happen on the Democratic side, where people want fighters. They want people who are going to stand up for working families. Now, at the end of the day, these are going to be fights about who can work harder for the American people. And if someone doesn't want to be part of the Democratic Party, they don't have to be part of the Democratic Party. I will say that a lot of the views that are happening and that El-Sayed stands for and what he has been saying, those views would not resonate with people in Texas. I think if you were to ask in my home state of Texas anything about socialism or DSA or any of these things, not one voter would understand what you're saying. So I do think that every state is different in this sense. People talk about this big tent party. I think it is a matter, the enthusiasm is where are the fighters? Whether it's Democrats or Republicans, it's not about party labels anymore, and we have to get over that as a country. People do not like the labels.
I think people are looking at this race totally wrong. First of all, Hassan Piker is not the candidate. Abdul El-Sayed is. And Donald Trump has associated himself, and many Republicans have associated themselves with questionable people, but those people aren't the candidates either. The candidate has to run for themselves. Whoever wins, I want the Democrat to win that seat. But Donald Trump won Michigan twice. And Donald Trump is so far away from being moderate. Like, we're pretending like we don't live in this country where these extremes, there's nothing about, the Republican Party is the MAGA party now. Yeah, and it is Donald Trump. Let me finish. Okay. Donald Trump's party. And the Democratic Party is actually reforming itself. And I actually am excited about these debates happening in the Democratic Party, because after 2024 and even leading up into 2024, people were like, who are the Democrats? Now, you don't have to like it, but the reality is there's a lot of people in Michigan tonight that did. And you can talk about Israel and Gaza, but we know there are single issue voters, but there are also people who vote for Medicaid, for housing, to be able to afford gas. And that is what a lot of voters are doing. Now, John King pulled up that map, and some of those districts where you think, we don't know what's going to happen tonight, where Haley should be doing better, there should be no reason that somebody spends $60 million in a race and it's even close. That's because people actually get to decide, not dollars. And people in Michigan are saying, it's hard for me right now, and I want somebody who will fight. And that's the same thing they said in 2024 when Donald Trump, not a moderate candidate, said, I'm going to fight for you. And that is what's playing out tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the anger is far less at the Republican Party. I was initially taking issue with your idea that Donald Trump is some extremist from a policy standpoint. I mean, he was...
But neither is Abdul. That's the thing.
And I'm not alleging that on Abdul's side. I will say it is wrong to view Abdul...
You're saying Trump is not extreme?
On policy? I mean, he's on gay rights, he was to the left of when he took office as when Obama
about like
took office.
Basic stuff, universal tariffs, mass deportations. Those are pretty extreme positions.
I mean, mass deportations. I mean, Bernie Sanders was incredibly for strict border control and deportations.
That's not the same thing as mass deportation.
No, I mean, Barack Obama's probably deported more people than Donald Trump is.
I know, but
the
I'm
idea
saying
that he's an aberration on policy.
But Trump is not moderate.
But one of the reasons why he won Michigan,
he's not an orthodox
one of the reasons why he won Michigan is he connected well with the voters who were frustrated with an establishment they felt didn't listen to.
Yeah, and that's happening tonight.
This is what's happening. This is what I'm saying. Anti-establishment.
But I think the biggest thing, though, is the Democratic establishment. If there was any notion that they were fearsome, and they, in a lot of senses, were fearsome because there was a lot of money behind them, let's put to bed the idea that money in politics is a massively swaying force. Plenty of candidates have been outspent to an extreme degree and have won despite that because they resonate with a sense of authenticity. If you can get that message out, it works. But also the Democratic Party has about the longevity and the stayinghood of like the dodo. I mean, it's a flightless bird that can't really go anywhere. And these insurgent candidates are realizing you just got to go and grab that thing. Like, this is not a hard thing to do. Colorado 3, Diane DeGette, I mean, set aside the New York primaries as well. Like, it is astounding the degree to which I think the center is collapsing within the Democratic Party.
You have no center in the Republican. There is no center at this point in either party, perhaps.
We're going to continue this conversation on that point after a quick break. We'll be right.
Let's start with the exact move Scott Jennings made. He took criticism of AIPAC, a political lobbying organization, and reframed it as an attack on Jewish people as a whole. In his words, they are just using it as a euphemism to say the Jews watch what that does. It takes a legitimate thing in a democracy, criticizing how a powerful lobby spends money to shape elections, and rebrands it as bigotry, so the criticism becomes unsayable. If any objection to AIPAC equals anti-Semitism, then AIPAC can never be questioned by anyone. That is the whole point. It is not defending Jewish people. It is building a shield around a political operation by hiding it behind Jewish people, and Abby Phillip dismantled it with 4 words, Senator Sanders is Jewish. And that is all it took, because the entire trick depends on you not noticing that many of the loudest critics of AIPAC and the Israeli government are themselves Jewish. And you cannot claim criticizing this lobby is a coded way of attacking Jewish people when a Jewish senator is leading the criticism. The logic falls apart on contact. And notice Jennings' response. He did not reckon with it. He just said that does not absolve him. He pivoted instantly because he knew the premise had already collapsed and he had nothing left to stand on. So here is why this matters beyond one panel. Conflating criticism of the Israeli government with hatred of Jewish people is one of the most effective tools in modern political debate because it shuts down conversation before it can start. You can stand with Jewish people to oppose actual anti-Semitism wherever it appears, and still believe the Israeli government's conduct in Gaza deserves harsh criticism. Those positions are not in tension. Abdul El-Sayed said exactly that. He stands with Jewish people and criticizes what the Israeli government is doing. Holding both at once is not a contradiction. It is basic moral consistency. The people who insist it must be one or the other are flattening the conversation on purpose. Now, the other sleight of hand on that panel, Noah Rothman actually argued that Donald Trump is not extreme on policy. Sit with that. Universal tariffs, mass deportations, and when challenged, his defense was to reach for Barack Obama and Bernie Sanders. Obama deported a lot of people. Sanders supported strict border control as if those are the same thing. They are not. There is a canyon between enforcing immigration law and what is happening now. Rounding people up based on how they look, profiling by skin color, producing actual deaths, strict borders and mass deportation are not synonyms. And pretending they are is how you launder an extreme policy into something that sounds normal. That is the thread connecting both moves. Take something extreme or self-serving and wrap it in familiar, reasonable-sounding language until people stop seeing it clearly. Criticism of a lobby becomes anti-Semitism. Mass deportation becomes just border security. A radical agenda becomes moderate. Next to a carefully chosen example, it is all the same technique, blurring the categories so the audience loses track of what is actually being defended. And here's what makes it work: speed. These panels move fast. The claim gets made, everyone nods, and the show cuts to break before anyone can check it. That is why the moments that matter are the ones where somebody refuses to let it slide. Abby Phillip did not deliver a speech. She said 4 words and kept the record straight. That is often all it takes to expose a bad faith argument, just refusing to let the false premise pass. So watch for this pattern, because once you see it, you catch it everywhere. When someone recasts fair criticism as bigotry or an extreme policy as ordinary, they are counting on you not to stop and ask whether the categories fit. Usually, they do not. If this broke it down for you, drop a comment and subscribe. Andrew out. Let's go.